It proves that we need help on the defensive side, but it also proves that, the loss to Washington, they're still a good team.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, you just have to play your best in these biggest games. What happened yesterday was a product of Philly playing their best and Kansas City playing one of their worst games they played in a while.
It's not only Philadelphia playing their best, it's Philadelphia at their best. They're healthy.
You know how many defensive linemen they have on the injured reserve? One, and he's never played a snap for them.
Wow.
I mean, the Lions had 3 starters and 2 more off the 2 deep on the injured reserve. Like, I can appreciate that they did look great, but they have 1 D lineman on injured reserve.
Look, and let me get this straight, too. I think a healthy Lions team beats the Kansas City team. I don't know if the healthy Lions team beats the healthy Philadelphia team, but that's a battle I'd love to see.
And they more than have a shot, of course. And if had the Lions beat the Commanders, they would have had hosted that game. Obviously, they wouldn't have been injury-free like we wanted them to be. But let's not forget, as great as the Eagles looked last night, and they were dominant from start to finish, they almost lost to the Rams a couple of weeks ago. Yep. The Rams were about to go in for a game-leading touchdown, and Stafford threw a bad pass. And I know weather played a role in that as well, but they're not unbeatable. The Eagles just looked unbeatable last night.
They put it all together last night.
Yep, exactly. It was an ass-kicking.
And keep this in mind, too. Like last year, the Eagles lost in the first round of the playoffs, but then they made some monster moves in the offseason. They went out there, they got Saquon Barkley in his 2,000 yards rushing, his MVP-type season, and they hit in the draft again. They went to the draft, spent the first 2 picks on defensive backs, and those 2 picks were studs. It worked out for them, and that's what an offseason can do. I'm hoping the same thing can happen for the Lions in an offseason. But for the Lions, it's getting healthy and then finding that extra piece on defense.
Paul's in Clinton Township and next. Hello, Paul.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
The thing I took out of it was, obviously Philly went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then last year they imploded, lost in the first round of the playoffs, and people were talking about firing their coach and talking about the proverbial they missed their window, right? Yeah. Remember all that chatter? Yeah. And they had the 30th ranked defense last year in the league. And they were able to turn it around, like Gator said, with some moves that they made. But like anything, it does take being healthy. I would love to take 7 guys off of that defense I watched last night and then see how good that defense would be.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was able to do that. And, obviously that's not what happened. They were healthy, and props to them. They were legitimately an incredible performance last night. But like I said, that defense and everything they did was predicated on the fact that they had all their players. And
the other thing it did,
knock 7 off that team on defense, and I don't think they'd be as dominant last night.
Of course they wouldn't be. You're 100% right on that. But the other thing that the Philadelphia's defense did, and why they were able to be so good, is they didn't have to blitz. They got everything they needed to from the front 4, and it wasn't like they had this constant pressure coming from the outside. It starts in the middle with those guys. But it's a different kind of pass rush that got there. Their defensive tackles are spectacular. And when you're under duress like Mahomes was, he doesn't have time to throw and set up and throw those deep passes. He was in a lot of trouble. And they've got young defensive backs who are able to stay step for step with the receivers for the most part, and they got the job done. But that defensive line did such an amazing job against the Chiefs, and that's why we get excited, because the Lions have pieces of that, but it's not a complete job yet.